the best sports coverage around, bringing you all the sports updates, breaking news, and everything going on. It's CP3 live from the lab, coming to you for Sports on the Hill podcast on True Radio Network. As you know, we're coming to you with a heavy heart tonight. We have the untimely and tragic passing of NBA legend and all-around great person, great man, Kobe Bryant. Dedicating this show to him, his daughter, and all the seven other members that was on the helicopter that passed away tragically. We're going to have a special show Thursday night on True Radio starting at 8 o'clock when all the details come out so we can make sure we talk about things correctly and know all the facts of what's coming out, because there's been breaking news coming out throughout the day. We're not really going to touch on that. We're going to talk a little bit about it. Robbie, you know, he's a diehard Lakers, Kobe Bryant fan. He's going to speak on it tonight. You know, yeah, I understand definitely how it hit home. But we're going to have another great show. It's unfortunate. We're going to miss him. But rest in peace. You never know when your last day is here. But we're going to keep the show moving. We already got Robbie G on the line. I see we got Anna K on the line. But before we get into what we do on a regular basis, talking Caps, talking Wizards, we're going to preview the Super Bowl. We're going to talk some boxing. And we're going to talk about whatever else might come up. But we want to thank you, the fans, the listeners, the contributors, the folks that just check out our show, the new folks that's checking us out all over with the new lights we can get. We appreciate it. Go check out the website, SportsOTHP.com. Has all the shows archived, all our Facebook Lives that you're watching now, or YouTube or Periscope. It's all up there. We're streaming on a lot of platforms now, so make sure you check us out, share us, let folks know some real sports media out there. Again, not this opinionated BS where they don't know what they're talking about half the time. But I'm not going to go there. We're going to have a good show tonight. Robbie G, how you doing tonight, bruh? Holding up today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sad overall, but I'm hanging in there. Yesterday was rough. I mean, time kind of stood still when the news broke, and kind of hard to process it. So, as you can see on the screen, this episode is definitely dedicated to him and all the different members of the people that were on that helicopter crash. You know, it was his copter. You know, he rents a pilot, and he was trying to go to a basketball game, with his daughter and teammates and other coaches and family members, and it's such a horrible, horrible tragedy. And at least we get to talk sports tonight and get to talk about some other stuff. But I definitely, right before we get into the Wizards segment, we'll talk a little bit more about Kobe and what he meant to me and some of the other people on the NBA roundtable as well. But it's a sad time in the sports world, but we'll try to get through it and talk a bunch of different sports tonight.
Most definitely. We also had Dujanet in the second hour and part of Boxing God. I'm sure they'll give their feelings about this. Me and Dujanet had a candid conversation about it. As you all know, I'm not a big NBA guy. I wasn't really a Kobe fan. I respected his talent and thought he was a good guy, but I wasn't really a fan. But I was more of a fan of off the court after he left basketball, all the businesses and entrepreneur stuff that he was doing. He was on his way to being a young mogul, and unfortunately, time in the man upstairs had a different plan, and unfortunately, we are where we are. But there's a plan we don't understand. We just have to keep moving forward. And like Robbie said, remember the good times, and hope his family, his wife and kids, and everyone that was close and dear to him can get through this tragic event. But like you say, you never know when your last day is, so make sure you hug and love them folks, because you never know it's the last time you're going to see them.
For sure. All right.
Let's lighten the mood a little bit. We're going to bring in Anna K, because I know we had the NHL All-Star this past weekend. Personally, I didn't get a chance to check it out because I had a lot going on. And I know you said you two checked it out, so why don't y'all go ahead, talk about the All-Star weekend. I know you got the hardest shot and all of that stuff lined up, and then we'll preview the Capitals' upcoming schedule, and they'll be dropping the puck soon in the Montreal Capitals game that should be starting very shortly.
Yeah, so I think we got Anna on the line. How are you doing tonight, Anna?
I'm good. I'm also, heavy-hearted. That was quite a shock yesterday, and so many things to say, but you know what? We're just gonna think about the families and send them as much love as we can. Because I was just sort of shaking my head every time I turn on the news. I'm like, what? It's almost surreal.
Yeah.
But yes, we can talk NHL and maybe try to lift the spirits a little bit because of that skill competition.
Sounds
which was
good.
Awesome.
Yeah, sounds good. So I've switched up the screen here. People also listening, just know that I am wearing Kobe's jersey. I'll be rocking that all night, and we'll have our RIP graphic all night on the live stream. So if you're watching the stream there on our Facebook page, also people can submit whatever questions they want. If they have any about the All-Star Game, about the Caps in general, we're on a bunch of Facebook Live feeds, but you can catch us on Sports on the Hill podcast Facebook page as well. And I'm going to start a watch party in just a few minutes, but let's start off with a couple of the early things. So Anna, you said you watched the skills competition, right? So
I did.
You were able to.
It happens to be one of my favorite things to watch. So
yeah,
yes, I did watch it.
I really like it too. I was getting some flack from some people like, I can't believe you watched that. I'm like, yeah, no, it's kind of like a mini Olympics once a year with the best hockey players in the world going at it for these awesome skills. And I think it's really cool. And there's previous records to be broken. So I actually really enjoy it as well. So let's start off with the fastest skater. And it's not necessarily the order in which the competitions happen, but I have stats up on screen. So we'll just go through it that way. I mean, historically, Connor McDavid has won this a bunch and one of the best skaters in the world. I think he had won it 3 times in a row going into this, but he was beaten just barely by Barzal from the Islanders, and it was 13.175 seconds, which is pretty impressive. What were your thoughts on the fastest skater competition?
This kind of blew me away a little bit because I think some of the fans, I think were like, oh, Connor McDavid's got this, but Barzal, like, wow. I'm always blown away by this skill because, I mean, 13.17, it would take me like 13 minutes to get around one time on the ice rink. And then to think like last year, you have Coyle in there, and it's just good times. But so I very much enjoyed this, and I do appreciate how humbled Barzal was. I mean, he kind of said afterwards, like, oh well, I just, I was just off the ice. It's just only been 2 days, and McDavid's been off for about a week, so I'm sure if things were different. I'm like, don't sell yourself short. You kicked us out there, so that was good to see. It was another exciting, kind of jaw-dropping, how the heck did these guys skate so fast moment.
Yeah, and it's funny because at the very end, I didn't even feel like he was skating that fast, at the very end. But I guess you just go for wind resistance and you just try to get on a straight line and try to finish as fast as possible. And it worked. I mean, he needed every 10th of second that he got. So I wouldn't have expected that to be the fastest time when I saw it live. And then from actually to be able to take it from Connor McDavid, who I think maybe could have gone a little bit harder, who knows? But I mean, again, I think the Barzal time was actually pretty, would have beaten last year's McDavid time too. So I think it was just a really fast time. So we're going to move on for time. We're going to try to get through all these different competitions real fast. Let's switch around to the save streak. Holtby did okay, got 5 saves in a row. Anderson for a long time was holding up with 7 from Toronto, and Vasilevsky looked amazing with 9, and then the hometown hero of Bennington wins it with 10 at the very end of the competition. Yeah. What were some of your thoughts on the save streak?
I can honestly say this is probably the least of my favorites, partially because I felt like some of the players they didn't really give it their all. Maybe they wanted Bennington to win because of hometown. That kind of gets everybody riled up, which I totally respect. I'm okay with that. But I don't know. I just kind of felt like certain players put some effort into it, and then certain players didn't take it as serious. So it was all in fun. I kind of was hoping that Holtby would have done a little bit better. But again, he was there. He earned his spot. He didn't disappoint. So, I guess of all the skills, this was my least favorite one to watch this time.
Yeah, I was happy that he fell in the top half of the goaltenders, which at least proves to some of the doubters out there that he's a decent goaltender. But obviously he took a week off and he was a little rusty, he felt, early on. So he was able to kind of catch fire at the very end. He went around the end of the thing and back to the top of the other side of the bracket. So if you continuously have saves, you then start off again with the top of the order, so to speak. So I like that he was able to wrap around at the end, get the 5. So that was at least good. So good for him on that. The next one is the accuracy shooting competition. This competition I cared the least about personally. I thought that the thing was a little bit glitchy, their system that they were using with an all-new digital scoreboard, which made it go slower and annoying. And so, I mean, Slavin from Carolina won, but I don't really, part of me doesn't really care. I mean, it was fast and it was entertaining, but all the technical issues and stuff kind of ruined it for me. What was your thoughts?
Oh, no, I have the same exact comments. It's like when you have so many people who are going to watch something like this, and it's such a big deal. There really shouldn't be. You may have one glitch, but come on. This is a little bit ridiculous, and I don't know if they were just trying to do too much. Maybe the stadium that was hosting it. But yeah, and I don't know I want to say Slavin, and be like, hey, it's really great for him, but I'm not a huge fan of his, so that and the goaltending is not my favorite. I definitely liked the other events, the other skills more.
Yeah. All right. We're running a little bit low on time, so we're going to try to get through these last two really quick. So Weber, once again, delighted the fans with showing that he's one of the best at shooting the puck with a 106.5. John Carlson got second with 104.5, so he had a good showing after last year, but it showed that Shea Weber not participating last year was a huge advantage for John Carlson. What are your thoughts about that?
Hey, the same. I mean, Shea Weber, he's a beast. I mean, I was impressed with Carlson. He did better than he did last year. He looked great, and I did not see 106.5 coming out of Weber. That's a hell of a shot for sure.
Sounds good. And then the last one of the competitions is this new Shooting Stars thing that we found out last week that Gil would hate, which I'd be interested to see what his thoughts are now. I know that you guys have an off week on your show. Patrick Kane won it, which of course caused a lot of booing, which is pretty funny. I thought it was actually a really cool competition. It's sort of like Top Shot golf, where they have to aim the puck down onto the ice. Marner did well. They had to go to a face-off to win it. I also liked how Kachuk almost got there at the end, and then they had that moment where they brought out his father, and they had a moment in St. Louis. It was just a great moment for the game. Thought it was really cool overall. Your quick thoughts on the Shooting Stars?
Yeah, I felt the same way. Awesome to see, female skaters out there also representing. Patrick Kane. You can't hate the guy. He was. I think he amped it up and kind of let the crowd go a little bit crazy. Yeah, everything else was great. A couple of little glitches there were frustrating, but I think overall everyone took it in good stride and enjoyed it, and I hope to see it again next year.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, really quickly, I want to get your thoughts on the 3-on-3 tournament from Team USA versus Team Canada. I thought it was great. It was a close game up to the end. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I had this down as one of my favorite things. I think anytime you have the women being represented in there and respected, it's just fantastic to see. But I mean, they played, they played so well. It was exciting. This one I did watch all the way through. So 2-1 loss to Canada, but overall, just the fact that the women were out there playing was just like a big old hell yeah. Let's keep that going.
Sounds good. All right, let's get into the upcoming week. We have a current game against Montreal. We're on the power play. Carol, Montreal scored first. What happened there?
Unfortunately, a bad bounce of the puck for the Capitals. Montreal was being very aggressive on their forecheck, and they were able to get a goal by just forcing the issue. And they've been playing a lot more crisp than the Capitals have come out in the way this game has started. You recall the Caps lost the game in Montreal early in the season, 5-2, and Montreal put up 4 goals in the second. So they definitely have something to prove. This is the second and third meeting, and right now Montreal is outplaying the Capitals right now.
Interesting, yeah. And the power play doesn't look particularly great so far, which has been one of their weaknesses we talked about last week. Definitely encourage people to go check out. We did a great Caps recap at the halfway mark last week. It's on the podcast page, SportsOTHP.com. Let's take a look at the week ahead. The first game is going to be against the Predators on Wednesday, and that'll be fun. It's a 7 o'clock start, I believe, and it's a 7:30 start, which is fantastic because I'm going to actually be going to the game. I prefer to have an extra couple minutes live there. Carol, what are some of your thoughts on the Predators?
They're currently 22-18-7. They're 7th in the Central, and they always give the Capitals a hard time. Hopefully the Capitals will be playing better than they are right now against Montreal. But you got most likely Holtby going against Pecorine, so it's definitely going to be a test for Holtby. It's going up against another Vezina winning goaltender. But if the Caps play their hockey, like we always say, they can beat anybody.
Sounds good. Anna, what are some of your thoughts on playing the Predators?
No, it's always a matchup I really can't stand. Just a team not to ever take lightly. I'd be surprised, I guess, depending on tonight, if they put Holton against Rene, because it seems like a great match, but maybe they need to start putting Sammy up against goalies like that and see what happens. But yeah, definitely looking like we were on vacation for a week and trying to pull it together in Montreal tonight, looking a little sluggish out there. But we'll see if they can kind of get their groove back. There's no reason why they can't beat the Predators.
Yeah, it's funny that going into this game, a lot of Caps fans looking at the lineup, knowing Ovi's out of the game, we're like, oh, we're just like conceding this game preemptively by putting Holtby in the net. And the first game we're going to care about is the Predators game, and we're going to put Sam back there. I was like, that's an interesting philosophy. I'm sure they never give one away, but obviously getting scored on first doesn't help my argument. But, I do think that they'll have a little bit more legs in them, towards the second half of the game. I mean, they've been off for so long that I'm sure that it's going to take a while for them to get used to it. They said they only had one practice before this game, so that can't be good.
It's kind of crazy, and but do you think, I think in the past that there's a lot of us who really felt like Holtby does better when he doesn't have too many games in between, like with the reps. So, so obviously he was in St. Louis for All-Stars and, is doing everything there and then playing tonight. So do you don't think that, do you think he should play Wednesday?
Oh, no, I think Sam should play Wednesday. I think that's why they plan to play Holtby, so that way Holtby could play. Hopefully, I want Holtby to definitely play today, and I think I want him to play the game against the Senators on Friday in Ottawa, and then you see how he did based on those two games on whether or not who gets it for the Penguins game on Sunday. But I think you put Sam in for Wednesday, and if he plays well and wins, then the pressure's on Holtby to have to beat the Senators on Friday, I think, to see who gets to play on Sunday. Carol, how do you see it playing out with the goaltenders?
You want to get your number one goaltender, get them in the rhythm, especially coming out of the All-Star break. As of right now, they got them all the next week. They have Holtby listed as expected to start all of those games, which 9 times out of 10 won't happen. But they got to get their legs back under them now. It's the serious time, season after the All-Star break. And, you got to start putting things together. They're still the top team in the league. They have a point lead over Boston for the top team in the league, which, we really don't care about. But just the fact that they're still, humming along doing their thing, even though they've had some hiccups and some injuries. It's to me, it's not a concern. Some of the fans talking about, whatever. I find it hilarious just to see the drastic swings of the fan thought process with a team that's still number one in the league. I understand if they were in a tailspin and, losing position, but they're still number one, and fans still aren't to get like Redskins fans.
Yeah, I hope not, but I understand what you're saying. You know, I definitely think the Capitals fans need to chill out sometimes. I'm like, both goaltenders are good. I mean, there's a reason Holtby was an all-star. We can't just immediately discount the fact that he has a majority of our wins, you know? Like, Sam's been playing great, and he's got a lot of wins in a row, but, I mean, Holtby's had to beat some really good teams to get his wins, arguably sometimes better than the opponents that Sam has had to face. So, it's not like you're having apples to apples here. They're not playing the same teams.
Exactly.
Yeah. Folks don't take that into account. They just look at the numbers and say, oh, he's playing better.
Right. Well, I mean, he's got some of the best numbers in the league, so I understand why they're thinking that, right? Because, I mean, it's easy to... Numbers don't tell the whole story. That's why you have to have people that both analyze the numbers, but also... people that are looking at the tape, and the stat sheet doesn't tell you everything. The fact that we watch the games helps a lot to be able to break it down for our listeners. Instead of, you can't just look at the box score and be like, oh, that's clearly how it all went down.
I agree 100%.
That's why we're here.
Exactly.
That's why we're here.
Yeah. All right. With that, let's go move on to the Senators games. The Capitals are at the Senators. So Carol, I don't know. Did you actually answer the question about who you would start in the Predators and the Senators games?
I'll go ahead and let Holtby get. I say let Holtby get 2 and let Sammy get 2, and just put it down the middle and see, because they, like you said, they've been off for 9 to 10 days. Holtby had the All-Star game, but you want to get back in the reps. So you got 4 games. Why not split them coming out of the break, and then see how they look in their performances, and then base it off of that later. Going down the line, how you going to play it going down until you get to the playoffs.
Yeah, so with that being said, because I kind of agree 2 and 2, but that, to me, I think that Sam should get the one against the Predators at home and then the Penguins at home, the 2 home games, and give Holtby the 2 road games, just because I think it's easier for the rookie goaltender at home, but that means you have to face the Penguins. Are you okay with Samsonov playing the Penguins?
I don't care who he goes up against. He's a professional NHL goalie. That means he should be able to hold his own against any team. If they have enough confidence to put him out there on the ice, fans and folks should have enough confidence in him winning the game. I say let both of them have one home, one away. The Caps have the best record in the league on the road. They have 18 road wins. No other team has more than, I think it was 14. So, I mean, the road is their strength right now. So why not? I mean,
yeah, I actually
want your team to be at the best. You want a discounted, let's do it like this to make it easier. You don't want to eat. You want to make sure they're up to the task.
Yeah, the problem is that it's such a weird schedule. We're on the road, we're at home, we're on the road, we're at home. So if the goaltenders are switching back and forth, then you have to have where both are on the road, like having Holtby do both road ones and Sam doing both home ones, because there's no home stand. You know what I mean? So it's weird.
And I was saying just for the first week, since it's 4 games.
Right, but what I'm saying is,
and going forward, then you decide.
So how would you do it then? So like, if you want Sam to get a home and a road game, do you put him in both the Predators game and the Senators, and you don't have Holtby come back until the Penguins game, or?
No.
Yeah. See, the problem is the next game's a home game followed by a road game followed by a home game. So I don't know how you do it. I think you put Sam in against both the Predators, and he has to do the Penguins in Washington on Sunday. That's how I think. Yeah. Yeah.
I think I agree with that, mainly because not only because of Pittsburgh, which we all hate, and it's the first time meeting them this season, but also the team doesn't seem to do so well with these afternoon games. So I would rather see Sammy in with the Preds and the Pens, and go with it and give Holtby that chance to be on the road tonight and in Ottawa, because that seems to be his strength.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting that he plays 2 Canada cities, and we give. That's how I think I would do it too. But it'll just be interesting to see how it shakes out. I think really, if Sam doesn't beat the Predators and Holtby looks really good against the Senators, then Holtby's got to start against the Penguins. So
True.
I think that those first two games are going to tell us a lot about what Todd Reardon ends up doing for the Sunday game. But it's something interesting at least to debate around since we had a little bit more time this week. Carol, any last thoughts about the schedule? I know that the Predators in the tough one going to Ottawa, and then the big Sunday matinee before the Super Bowl.
Ottawa, we defeated them 6-1 back on the 7th of January before the break. Ottawa 17-23 and 8-7 in Atlantic. Caps pretty much, dominated them. I believe the Senators scored the first goal, and the Caps scored the first goal. Senators tied up, and the Caps would have scored 5 unanswered. So I don't really see an issue with Ottawa. First game against Pittsburgh. They're second in the Metro currently, 31-14-5. Right behind the Capitals, 4 points. Definitely going to be a classic match. We've seen this matchup on Super Bowl Sunday several times, and we know what it's going to be. First matchup between the two teams, but I feel the Caps going to do their best to come out on top, and I think they will. Ovi and Sydney are going to be going, national televised audience, so it's definitely going to be a great game.
So I've got some exciting news that's just that I was just talking to somebody in a Caps message board while we were starting the show. I think I might do a Facebook Live mini show, crossover show with her show during the second intermission of that Penguins game. So it'll just be a short 15-minute show. What are our thoughts of the first two periods going into the last period? Could be interesting. If I do it, I'll definitely do it on the SportsOTHP page and share it on my Facebook page and to the groups. But I thought that could be kind of fun. Janaea Talks Caps. She does a great podcast as well. So she and I have been trying to do a show together for almost 3 years. So I may try to do something during an intermission or during that game, or maybe do a show with her sometime next week. But so I think that'd be a lot of fun. I love this rivalry. I've gotten to go to a bunch of games in this rivalry. It's, I think, one of the best rivalries in all of sports. I'm happy that they always do it on Super Bowl Sunday, or at least have for most of the last 10 years or so. And it's just great having Ovechkin versus Crosby. It's always an interesting story. So hopefully it'll be another great game. Those 12:30 starts are always really dangerous for us. We don't particularly do well in a lot of them. But hopefully, ultimately, we were able to get a big victory. So let's get some predictions real fast. Knowing these 4 games ahead of us, knowing that we're behind in this game, Anna, how do you think we're going to fare this week?
I'm hoping to rally the second half of this game. I know Ovechkin's not there, but it's not a reason for them to not give 100%. I do think it's going to be tight. I do think it's interesting that Richard Paddock's on the top line. I like to see how he does there, which, I don't know, we'll see. I mean, obviously, Reardon put him there for a reason, so let's see him shine. Hoping that we take that Nashville game. Definitely should take Ottawa. And the Pitt game, I'm gonna say, because it's Super Bowl Sunday and because the Niners are playing, I'm just gonna ride rocking the red with the Cavs and the Niners and give it a 3-2 win for Washington over Pitt.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
So overall, what was that? How many wins, losses?
I think 3. I think there's going to be 1 loss in there. I don't know if it'll be tonight or Nashville, but I think 3-1.
Well, I hope it's not the Nashville one, but I'm very biased. Because I'd like to get a win with my dad. But Carol, what are some of your thoughts on how we're gonna go through this week?
I'm thinking 3-1 also. Not sure which game. The Capitals are starting to get it together this game. So I mean, it's still early. We've seen this team come back and score 5 goals in the period. So this team is never out of it. But I think they're going to go 3-1. Nashville always gives them a problem. And that damn Forsberg, who should have never got rid of. I'm still salty about that. Whenever I see Nashville, I hate it because he always scores, and I always just think, what if he was still in the Capital squad? That would have just made this team more deadlier. But, they probably went ahead and afford him anyway with a great performance, couldn't afford him under the salary cap. So, neither neither here nor there, but I think Nashville is probably going to be the game that they end up giving up.
Yeah. I personally think we're going to go 2-2, but I'm always the pessimist of the group, so I hope that you guys are right. But I mean, Predators always scare me. The Penguins scare me. This game isn't making me super excited right now, but I mean, there's a lot to play. I've learned a lot from the Caps team, and that's the first rule is never turn it off. They will come back in the third. Who knows? They've come back after previous times in our podcast where we've gone off the air, and they've come back and scored some goals. So there's still a lot of time left in this game for sure. Carol, you talked to Anna for 1 second. I need to get a glass of water. My throat's going to kill me before I do the next segment. So you guys just talk for another minute, and I will be right back.
Yeah.
All right, no problem. Yeah, we just.
So, please. I was going to say, please tell me that you're pulling for. Sorry.
Oh, for the night. I'm still. We're going to do our Super Bowl preview show. I've been doing so much film study and so much research on this game. I'm still like flipping a coin on which way I'm gonna go because it's going to be such a strategic game between these two great teams and great coordinators.
Yeah.
I'm leaning toward Kyle getting his first ring. That'd be cool. But then Kansas City, their offense is so explosive. But looking at the numbers, their defense isn't really a strong suit. So the 49ers can run the ball. They're not really strong against the run. It's just I'm still, when me and Dujanay break it down, I'm probably still not going to be deciding on who I think is going to win the game. But it's definitely going to be an entertaining game. But I think I'm going to be rooting more for Cal than Andy Reid.
Yeah. It's like Andy Reid. Hey, come on, you've been there, done that. But I feel like I'm excited because I have nothing but respect for both quarterbacks. There isn't like this innate hatred for the Chiefs, to be honest. So I look forward to it. But I have a feeling that, in watching the Niners for so long, and now we have Jimmy G and how he plays, I think this is going to be the first time that we're going to see him run more. And I think that'll be a fantastic way to show his skills and maybe, kind of throw the Chiefs for a loop a little bit, because we don't see him as a runner as much as when we had Kaepernick and other quarterbacks. But I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see a couple of plays that we haven't seen before, which is always exciting. And then, of course, you have Andy Reid, who's, been there, done that, and calm on the sidelines. So it's going to be... It's definitely a Super Bowl I'm very much looking forward to.
I have a quick question. I'm back. So, Carol, this is only Andy Reid's second Super Bowl, right? Because he lost the one with the Eagles, right?
Yeah, he's been to 7 championship games and only made this will be, I believe, his 8th, and he's only made the Super Bowl 1 time.
Wow. And he lost to the cheating Patriots, and I hated them for it because I was in Philadelphia at the time, and I'm a diehard Redskins fan, but I was rooting for the Eagles in that one because I wanted the city to just pop off. I was in college in the heart of the city, and I was so mad at the cheating Patriots. The worst. The only time I ever root for the Eagles, and that happens. It sucks so bad. Anyway, but yeah, so it's hard because I kind of feel bad for Andy Reid, but I am also rooting for the 49ers in this one because NFC pride. I almost always root for the NFC team. There's very few exceptions. So
awesome. I'm ready for it.
If the Ravens were in, that would have been the exception. But that just for the record. But that's like the only exception. I know. But so you're happy that didn't happen, so we didn't have to. So there you go.
Yes, I'm thrilled. Okay, well I'll let you guys scoot out. I'm gonna go grab dinner and watch the rest of this game and hope for a W. But we'll see what happens. And
well, thank you for joining us. Go to SportsOTHP.com, click the Power Play Point Podcast button. You can check out on all their episodes. They took a hiatus this week, but they'll be back next week. And last week's episode was really good as well, so definitely check it out. But thanks again, Anna, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay, sounds good. Let's go, Caps. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, Anna, have a good night. Talk to you later.
All right. my blog talk window disappeared. All right, hold on. I hate it when that happens. Too many screens up, you know? That's what happens when you're producing too many things at once. All right, now I've got it. Yeah. All right, we're good. All right.
That's my
all right, so let's bring in the team real quickly. I'm going to bring everybody on at the same time because I didn't have time to write down who's which number. But it's fine. So I'm going to bring on the three members of the roundtable because I know who they were going to be, and I will introduce them one at a time. Ken, DC People's Champ, how are you doing tonight?
I'm well. I'm enjoying a nice cigar in memory of the Black Mamba, and ready to talk about the roller coaster ride of the Wizards this past week.
Yes, definitely. And Arun, are you with us here tonight?
Yeah, I'm here. Also mourning the loss of the Black Mamba, and we'll get to some Wizards talk.
Yeah, for sure. And Brian, the last member of our roundtable, are you with us tonight?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm happy to be here on what's been a pretty sad day for everybody. So let's talk some NBA.
Yeah, for sure. Before we do, I mean, obviously the Kobe Bryant story was the number one story on everyone's minds yesterday. I talked about it at the top. I do want to mention that there will be a special this week on Thursday. We're going to do a whole show dedicated to Kobe because he deserves an entire show. A lot of guest stars from all over the network will be on. It'll be an 8 o'clock start. Usually it would be Hertz House night, but we're taking the Thursday night. We're dedicating it to Kobe and all the members that perished on that helicopter ride, including his daughter, Gianna. That was the hardest thing for me is the fact that he had to lose his daughter too. So we're definitely going to try to remember the legacy that he was. I mean, I'm wearing, if you're watching the Facebook Live feed, I'm wearing my 24 jersey tonight. I almost always wear Capitals stuff during Caps games. I'm very superstitious, but if the Caps have to lose tonight because we need to play respect, then so be it. Kobe Bryant, to me, is deserving of that. And, Kobe was my favorite basketball player growing up, him and Michael Jordan. When MJ kind of passed the torch to Kobe, it kind of passed the torch of who my favorite active player was. Always a huge MJ fan. He'll always be probably my number one, but, Kobe was right there. I mean, he's the guy for 20 years we grew up watching. Was an incredible part of the NBA. I'm going to get each one of your quick thoughts on that, and then we'll move on to the Wizards talk. I'm going to start with you, Champ. What are some of your thoughts on Kobe and this horrible tragedy?
Well, I will say I wasn't the biggest Kobe Bryant fan. Actually, my favorite NBA player was Shaquille O'Neal, and to see them combine and get the ring that they did was pretty awesome, being somebody that's a huge Shaquille O'Neal fan. But I mean, you cannot take away what the kid did, what the man did on the court, coming straight out of high school, out of Lower Merion, getting into the league and being one of the few players in the NBA, especially in the age of free agency, to play an entire career for one team. You don't see that much anymore in any sport. Where it's free agency, where a player plays their entire career for one team. And Kobe did it, and not only did he do it, he did it at a high level. And then after basketball, devoted his time to his family, cultivating his daughter, who's no longer with us now, to follow in his footsteps. And I mean, what else can you say about the man? Class act all the way.
For sure. Well said. Brian, what are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think, the most shocking athlete death of my entire life. I don't remember anything quite like this, of this magnitude. And you see it so much in just not just the NBA, but the impact that Kobe had on so many people's lives. It's basically been a day of mourning for so many people across the universe today, and it's been tough. And you think about everything he accomplished, the 5 rings, and the influence he's had on players that are in the NBA today. You see the tributes that are being paid in the NBA yesterday with the 24-second violations and the 8-second violations, which are really a beautiful thing to see. You just see the impact that Kobe had, and can't forget what he did off the basketball court as well with his family, raising the beautiful daughters that he has, and just barely getting a chance to have that, which is the saddest thing. And Kobe will be missed in so many ways. It's really just it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
This reminds me of when Sean Taylor died.
Yeah. Who'd you say?
It's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, but it's like it's a cultural icon. I mean, it reminds me of like MJ and a lot of the greats of so many different genres. Where just time stood still on that day, and you never forget where you were when you heard that news. And it's just one of those crazy, crazy days. I want to point out that he was such a bigger man than just basketball. He was starting a company that grew to almost 200 million, and he was investing in lots of different companies. He was studying about business, and he was poised to be such a great person. And I also want to talk about the Academy Award for Best Animated Short. He became the first African American to win an Academy Award for Best Animated Short ever, and he also is the first former professional athlete to be nominated or win for an Academy Award in any group. So, I mean, those are some incredible feats, and I highly encourage people, if they have never seen Dear Basketball. We shared it yesterday. Last night I shared it on our Facebook page, facebook.com/SportsOTHP, or search Sports on the Hill podcast on Facebook, and it will come up, and it is such a beautiful tribute because he will never get to give his Hall of Fame speech, which, by the way, he got officially inducted to the Hall of Fame today, or they announced that he will be in the inducted ceremony.
That is awesome.
And I'm happy that they already announced that. No vote needed. He automatically just got it. And I hope that Shaq is able to give him the tribute that he deserves. I hope that that's the way they go, or his wife, or whoever they feel is the most appropriate. I think one of those two would make logical sense. But, I just watched that movie. He tells his own legacy in about 5 minutes, and it is one of the most beautiful pieces of art you will ever see. As a former film and animation maker, I think it deserves all the awards, and I highly recommend it. I can't speak on it enough. Arun, what are some of your takes on this?
Yeah, as everyone said, it was just like a shocking loss, but Brian alluded to it, that like there are not that many times that this might be like the saddest national sports story. I think like in terms of like the DC area, like Sean Taylor comes to mind and Len Bias, but I think Kobe definitely had not only across the country but just like a global impact like on athletes. Like Novak Djokovic was saying that he was like his mentor, and even Alexander Ovechkin was saying that too on SportsCenter last night. It was just crazy that he's like only the third MVP to die since like 1956, and that's pretty incredible given that, I don't know, like some people were born like in the 1920s and they won MVP and they're still alive. But Kobe's was 41. It's very sudden, very tragic. I didn't believe it when it happened. I only found out when SportsOTHP tagged me on Instagram, and then even then I was like, I didn't want to believe it. So it's just one of those really sad moments. It's hard to believe that he's gone. He'll definitely, like somebody was saying, that he's so prepared that even his Hall of Fame speech might already be pre-written. So hopefully that's the case, because it's a shame that we don't get to see the second act of his life. He won an Oscar already. He has a show on ESPN Plus, coaching his daughter in women's basketball. He's like already pretty cranky as a head coach. He was in ESPN headlines like just a couple weeks ago. It's like being too down on his like daughters and for not winning, daughter and her teammates for not winning. And it would have been fun to see Kobe, how he evolved in his second act. And unfortunately, we'll not be able to see that.
Yeah, and I think part of his second act was to try to get Gianna, to her promised land. And the goal horn did just go off. So, Carol, can you announce the Tom Wilson goal real quickly before we switch gears?
Unfortunately, Robbie, I'm streaming the game, but I'm not.
Oh, you've not seen it yet.
I'm watching it live, but my stream is still slow, and I guess it's about to happen. So I'll continue to talk until it does happen. Look like they're on the power play goal. Look like trying to see who that was that went behind the net. Was it Backstrom? It looked like Backstrom got the loose puck behind the net. Wilson was crashing the net right in front. Backy just threw it right in front, and Wilson just chipped it in to tie the game at 1-1 with 1:30 left in the first period.
Right. Yes, you're about 30 seconds behind me. Okay.
Bobby,
Yes.
real quick.
Hey.
As someone who's also a huge wrestling fan, this tragedy of Kobe definitely equates to when Owen Hart passed away in 1999 and how it impacted the entire sports world, especially the wrestling world. And then the same when Eddie Guerrero passed away in 2005. Both men were still active. Both men were still popular. And for them to just go out of nowhere was just, it had the same feeling. Like when I found out that Kobe passed away, I had those same feelings like when I found out that Owen Hart passed away. I was watching that pay-per-view live when they announced Owen Hart's death, and I had a lump in my throat when they announced it. And I was about to be 17 that year, and I felt like I lost a best friend when I heard about that. So, as a wrestling fan, that's what I equate this to as well.
Yeah. It's interesting. Kobe just seems to have such a more global brand than any other sport. It wasn't even about the fact that it was. I think part of the story that touched so many people was when they found the family element of it. I mean, that's, for me, it was, as I said before, the hardest part. Just, I can't imagine being with somebody when you have your son or your daughter with you and there's nothing you can do, and it's just, that's my biggest fear as a parent. And, I've only been a parent for a year and a half and I have that fear, and I can't even imagine, I think that touches people at such a human and emotional level that I was just watching news stories and, about it before this, and it's okay to care about it, and it's okay, and I think there was some really bad journalism out there. I'm not going to get into all of it because I know we got to get into Wizards talk, but definitely on Thursday there's a lot to get into. Hopefully I'll be able to tune in after I have to work that night, unfortunately, but I'll hopefully make some time for it. But it's there's a lot to unpack, and I mean, we couldn't do it in 20 minutes, so hopefully people will tune in at 8 o'clock. But we're going to move on to the Wizards talk real quick, and we're going to go through these games lightning fast so we can actually preview the upcoming games because I care more about that. The first game was last Monday. Wizards won 106 to 100. Champ, were you able to catch any of this game?
I was able to catch some of this game. I mean, the Wizards needed this win. They were on the midst of a 3-game losing streak coming into this game. They were back at home. They were playing a Pistons team that, seemed like they were hungry and motivated. Andre Drummond went out and dropped 18 with 16 rebounds. Derrick Rose dropped 26. And, your usual suspects went out and they performed. Jan Mahinmi had 21. Bradley Beal had 29. Thomas Bryant is fully back from injury, had 13. They needed this victory in the worst way after being on a 3-game skid, coming into this game and coming back home. And then we set them up for what's going to be a 4-game road trip coming up.
Right. All right. We're going to just give different games to different people. I'm going to give Arun the next one. The next one was a Wizards Heat game that went to overtime. The Wizards kind of blew this game in some ways. They ended up losing this 134-129. Arun, what were some of your thoughts on this matchup?
Washington, they were down they had a huge deficit. I believe they were down by 19 points. And the Wizards came all the way roaring back, led primarily by Bradley Beal. And they had a shot to win the game in regulation, but Bradley Beal couldn't get a shot off, and even the Heat announcers were criticizing that, and the Wizards ended up losing this game in Miami. Miami's a really good team, but I guess Washington, they need to come away with wins if they want to get into the playoff mix, which seems pretty unlikely right now.
For sure. All right, the next game I'm going to give is the Cavaliers game. The Wizards, unfortunately, lost 124-112. And it was a seemingly pretty close game. That was the game on Thursday. Champ, did you get a chance to check that game out?
Which game is that?
The Cavaliers-Wizards game, the one where they lost by 12.
We won that one.
Oh, no, we won. Oh, you're right. We won. I'm sorry. I misread that. Yeah, yep. We did win that game. I actually watched that game now that I think about it. Yeah.
I listened to this game as well, and again, Bradley Beal is the catalyst for this team when it comes to being able to win these games. He had 36 points in 29 minutes of play. And you got to remember that he's been dealing with a nagging knee injury throughout the season where it's costing some games. So for him to come out and put up 36, awesome job. Isaiah Thomas with 13. I'm so glad to see Davis Bertans back. The Latvian Laser with 17 points. Isaiah Smith, Ish Smith went out there and had a good game with 17 points. I mean, this was another one right here where they needed to win this one. This was a must win, and against a team that's worse than you are, that's a game you should win, and they won it pretty much going away.
Yeah, going away. Yeah, I'm now remembering this game. So they were actually leading from the beginning, first quarter on. They were able to put up 39 points in that second quarter, and then I remember watching actually at the gym. I actually had it streaming on my phone while I was doing a workout, so I watched the entire third quarter that way, which is interesting, and they played really well. And then I actually jumped on a show with you, if I remember, for the fourth quarter. We were both on Hertz House. Yeah, so we were both on Hertz House last Thursday, so that's how we spent the fourth quarter, and we won. So that was great. So then the next game is the Hawks game, Wizards at Hawks. 152 to 133. The Hawks dominated. I unfortunately just couldn't bring myself to watch basketball that day. Just after the Kobe thing, I couldn't do it. Arun, did you get a chance to see any of this game?
Yeah, basically they honored Kobe Bryant in the beginning of this game. I believe this was the first game where I saw they committed the 8-second, Trae Young committed an 8-second violation, and Bradley Beal committed a 24-second violation. So that was, other games are doing both 24-second violations up to that point, but so they honored Kobe at the beginning of this game. Trae Young was actually the favorite player of Kobe's daughter who passed away, Gianna, and he came out blistering. I believe he had a double-double at halftime, and he finished with 45 points and 14 assists, and he's also starting in the All-Star game. Beal had 40 points, but Washington had already given up 119 points by the third quarter. There wasn't much defense. I don't think anyone's heart was really in this game for the Wizards based on what happened earlier that day, and it was a loss, but it's excusable given what happened earlier that day.
Right. Trae Young actually, in some ways, tried to embody Kobe. He changed his number for the game, which I rarely see a player do. He actually wore number 8 for this game in Kobe's honor, or in honor of Kobe, I guess. And it was an amazing achievement. He was able to put up some pretty crazy numbers in that one. All right, let's just quickly move on. We only got about 5 minutes left of Wizards talk. Let's talk about the upcoming games. Tomorrow there's a game. If you're listening live, it's on Tuesday. If you're not, it's at 8 p.m. Wizards at Bucks. I'm gonna let Brian break that one down. What are your thoughts on the Wizards going to the Bucks?
Yeah, the Bucks are not only the best team in the NBA right now. I mean, they're one of the hottest teams in the league right now too. They're coming back from a trip to Paris where they played the Hornets on Friday and won that game too. So we'll see how they do. We'll see if they're over the jet lag in this game. But either way, Milwaukee's a 16-point favorite. The game's in Milwaukee. I have to think that the way things are going this year for the Wizards and the way things are going this year for the Bucks, that this is going to be a pretty easy game for Milwaukee overall.
Yeah, that's interesting that you said. So it's the Hornets versus Milwaukee are the two teams that played.
Yeah.
Is that right? So
yeah, they played. Yeah.
That's crazy because those are the two teams that the Wizards play in a row. But they'll play your New York Knicks first in the Hornets one. So so with that being said, let's switch. I'm gonna get Champ. What's your thoughts on the Hornets on Thursday at 7?
I gotta tell you, I have a feeling that the Wizards, the way they played against top-tier teams in the Eastern Conference and in the Western Conference, they're going to give Milwaukee a fight, and then they're going to go into the Hornets game at home and just totally lay an egg. That's the way I see it. I mean, the Hornets, they're barely they're barely behind the Wizards in the standings in the East. Both teams just don't have much to offer, but I just feel like the Wizards are going to put all their energy into trying to beat the top team in the East and the Bucks, and then there's going to be a letdown against Charlotte at home.
Yeah, I could totally see that. That makes a lot of sense. All right, Arun, I'm giving you the third game of the matchup. It's on Saturday. It's 8 o'clock. It's against the Nets, but it's in Washington. Arun, what are some of your thoughts on the Nets?
This is a pretty winnable game for the Wizards. The Nets have lost 8 of their last 9 games. The Nets just lost to the Knicks, 110-97. Kyrie Irving wasn't playing that game, but they've been kind of all over the map. So this is definitely a winnable game for the Wizards.
Quick side note, I might be at this game because it is multiple sclerosis awareness night, and any tickets bought on Wizards.com, the proceeds go to MS Research, and the Wizards radio play-by-play man, Dave Johnson, who's a good friend of mine, has MS, and so he's a big advocate of this. So I might be at this game, fellas.
Nice. That's good. I mean, I'm a huge Dave Johnson fan. I followed him for a very, very, very long time. He's one of the best in the business. We've actually tried to get our schedules to meet a couple of times. He hasn't come on the show yet, but I've been trying, and I'm a big fan of his, and I hope that obviously his battle continues to go well. But yeah, I mean, that's a good game to go to. I hope that people do end up going there and supporting that. It's an important cause, and it'll be a good opportunity to see a good game on a Saturday night at 8 p.m. So a big week for the Wizards. The last game, quote-unquote, of the week is actually the game that will be live next week on Monday at 7, Warriors at Wizards. So we'll break down that live game next week during our roundtable. But I want to thank you guys for joining me and talking Kobe with me, but also talking about the Wizards. I'll give each one of you guys a final thought before we let you go. So I'll start off with Arun. What are some of your final thoughts?
It's been a tough couple days for basketball fans. I just want to throw out there that I think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl, and thanks for having me on.
Sounds good. And Brian, what are some of your final thoughts?
I just want to say before I sign off that obviously I'm really happy also that Derek Jeter got into the Hall of Fame, although I'm a little pissed that it wasn't with 100% of the vote. Whoever that one person is, he should be ashamed of himself. But other than that, I'm also happy for Eli Manning, too, announcing his retirement. One of the great athletes in New York sports history, and he will be forever missed. Other than that, have a good night, folks.
Sounds good. And then, Champ, the last one, any final thoughts? And are you doing a no spots this week, or are we just going to catch you on Thursday, or what's your plans?
I will try to call in on Thursday. Like I mentioned, I'm going on my first ever work trip, and I'm actually leaving the East Coast for the first time ever, traveling on the plane. I'll be in Chicago. There will be no spots this Friday because I'll be just getting back from Chicago literally an hour before showtime, and I doubt I'll get home in time enough for it. So no spots this week. But I do want to say on the wrestling side, congratulations to Drew McIntyre for winning the men's Royal Rumble match last night and getting his shot at a championship of his choosing at WrestleMania. It's going to be awesome, and it was great to see Edge back in a ring wrestling 9 years after he retired due to a neck injury. Just a great time for wrestling and all that. But no spots this Friday, but next Friday we're back at it, and we have a special guest on for our spotlight on independent wrestling. So stay tuned for that.
Sounds good. Well, thank you guys. As always, we'll talk to all three of you guys next week. We'll have a lot to talk about, including that live Wizards game. So thank you guys so much for that. And with that, Carol, I'm going to give the reins back over to you. I am rooting for the 49ers. I'll just go on record for that. But I'm excited for a fun weekend, obviously, with the Caps playing right before the Super Bowl and then the Super Bowl itself. So I'm looking forward to that.
Most definitely. We appreciate the NBA roundtable breaking that down and the good Kobe talk. We'll definitely be talking more on Thursday night. I have to work also, but I'm going to try to call in. Like I said, I'm not a big NBA fan, but we all knew who Kobe Bryant was. I wasn't watching as much as before when I was a Celtics fan when they played the year before they won when KG got his ring. And it's kind of ironic that he'll be getting inducted to the Hall of Fame along with KG, who was one of my favorite players to play the game. But we appreciate y'all taking the time out and enjoy. And we're going to get ready for some Super Bowl preview talk, waiting on Dujane to call in now. But before that, we're going to go to our music/video break. I'm going to show, since I wasn't on the show last week, and we just got some hockey on tonight, I'm going to show Ovi's all his 8 goals of his 2 hat tricks of his first start a week before the All-Star break. And I'm trying to figure out what track I'm going to put on for the listeners while we watch the video if you aren't checking out the Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or Periscope feed. Guess we'll go with one of the classics that we normally play on the show. We got to update some new music on the board, Robbie. We're going to go with Kendrick Lamar, Good Man, for all the listeners. We'll be back in 4 minutes and 38 seconds. Stay tuned for more Sports on the Hill podcast on True Radio Network. Back to you live from the lab.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. That was Sports on the Hill podcast, first hour. Obviously, go check out Carol Porter III's feed, or click on the link, or over at SportsOTHP.com. You'll definitely check all the links, live feeds, and so much more. Also, True Radio Network has a new website. You can go check that out as well on the True Radio Network button on Sports on the Hill podcast page. And you can catch this latest podcast episode live streaming, as well as all the other shows on this network, including that Kobe show. Once again, that'll be at 8 o'clock. We'll share all the links on Facebook.com/SportsOTHP and more. So thanks for tuning in. Rest in peace to Kobe and everybody that was on that helicopter. I'm very saddened by it. I was a big Kobe and still am a big Kobe fan. And so rest in peace to all of them. And thank you for tuning in tonight. I really appreciate it. We'll be back with that special again on Thursday at 8 o'clock. I hope to have some of you guys call into that show. We will be back with a regular Sports on the Hill podcast next Monday. We'll be talking about all these Caps games that were this week, including that Super Bowl Sunday one. And we'll even talk about the live Wizards game as it happens, as we recap those 3 games as well. So I hope that you have a good week out there. Cherish everyone that you love. And DC Sports Without the Politics. Sports on the Hill podcast is Robbie T signing off.